Kit Kat. You probably think vanilla is the world's original flavor. You've been lied to. Chocolate is older, by about 3,000 years. Kit Kat was born in 1935 because a factory worker in York, England dropped a note in the suggestion box asking for a chocolate bar that would fit in a lunchbox. That worker's idea became one of the most recognized bars on earth. But here is the industry secret nobody puts on the packaging. Every time a Kit Kat finger fails quality control, wrong shape, broken, misaligned, it does not get thrown away. It gets ground down into a fine paste. That paste is mixed back into the wafer filling of the next batch. You have been eating recycled Kit Kats inside your Kit Kats your entire life. The company has confirmed this. It is not a rumor. The name came from the Kit Kat Club, an 18th century political gathering in London named after a pie shop owner called Christopher Catling. So the bar in your hand traces its name back to a pie shop in the 1700s. In Japan, Kit Kat means something completely different. The name sounds close to Kitokatsu. Roughly, you will surely win. Students started buying them before exams as good luck charms. Nestle noticed and leaned in hard. Japan now has over 300 flavors: wasabi, sweet potato, sake, and matcha, sold exclusively at train stations as gifts. A bar invented for a British lunchbox became a Japanese exam ritual. Snickers chocolate. Frank Mars launched Snickers in 1930 as the follow-up to his Milky Way bar. He wanted something more filling, a bar that could actually replace a meal when you were hungry on the go. The combination was nougat at the base, caramel on top, a full layer of roasted peanuts, and a milk chocolate coating around the whole thing. 4 layers, 1 bar, nothing like it existed before. He named it after his family's favorite horse. The horse was called Snickers. That is not a metaphor. That is literally what happened. A candy bar eaten by billions of people every year was named after one man's pet. Snickers is currently the best-selling candy bar in the world. Not in America, in the world. It outsells every other bar across every major market on Earth. Twix chocolate. Have you ever heard someone say they prefer the left Twix over the right Twix? That war is completely made up. The left Twix and right Twix come off the same production line, in the same factory on the same day. They are identical. Mars invented the rivalry in 2012 as a marketing campaign to drive engagement. There is no left factory and no right factory. The entire story is fictional, and it worked perfectly because people genuinely argue about it. Twix was invented in 1967 in Slough, England. The name combines twin and sticks. It did not reach America until 1979. But here is the Mandela effect moment. Do you remember Raider? Across mainland Europe, Germany, France, the Netherlands, Spain, Twix was sold as Raider until 1991. Millions of people grew up eating Raider bars. Then one day the name changed to Twix. The bar was identical, the wrapper changed. In Germany, Raider is now Twix. Nothing else changes became a cultural phrase used to describe any rebrand that only changes the surface. If you grew up in Europe before 1991 and you remember Raider, you are not misremembering. It was real. It just stopped existing without much warning. Cadbury Dairy Milk. Quick visual challenge before we get into Cadbury. If you put a scoop of gelato and a scoop of ice cream on the same scale right now, which one would weigh more? Guess before you read on. The gelato. Always. Because standard commercial ice cream is up to 50% air by volume. Whipped in during production to increase bulk and reduce cost. Gelato is much denser. You are literally buying air when you buy mass-produced ice cream. Remember that the next time you look at the price. Cadbury Dairy Milk did something similar with milk in 1905, but in the opposite direction. George Cadbury Jr. put more of the real ingredient in, not less. The bar used the equivalent of 2.5 glasses of fresh milk per half pound of chocolate, more than any manufacturer had attempted. It was smoother, creamier, and sweeter than anything else on the British market. By 1914, it was Cadbury's best-selling product. The name has an uncertain origin. The bar went through Highland Milk, Jersey, and Dairy Maid before landing on Dairy Milk. Cadbury says a customer's daughter suggested the name. Nobody has ever verified this. And then there is the purple. The specific shade on Cadbury's wrapper, Pantone 2685C, has been used since 1914. Cadbury tried to legally own that color. They won the case in 2012. Nestle appealed. Cadbury lost in 2013. That exact purple, the one you have associated with chocolate your entire life, is not legally theirs. Anyone can use it. Milky Way chocolate. The Milky Way was not named after the galaxy. It was named after a milkshake. In 1923, Frank Mars's son Forrest suggested building a bar around the flavor of a chocolate malted milkshake, the most popular soda fountain drink in America at the time. Frank launched it as a chocolate malted milk in a candy bar. The galaxy reference is a coincidence that the name happened to share. Nobody sat down and said, let's name this after space. Now, the chocolate civil war. The Milky Way sold in the United States is not the same product as the Milky Way sold in Europe. The American version has nougat, caramel, and milk chocolate. The European Milky Way has only chocolate and whipped nougat, no caramel at all. The bar that functions as the American Milky Way in Europe, with nougat, caramel, and chocolate, is sold there as the Mars bar. The same combination of ingredients carries two completely different names, depending on which side of the Atlantic you are standing on. In 1932, Frank Mars gave his son Forrest the international rights to market Milky Way outside America. Forrest moved to Slough, England, and founded Mars Limited. That single deal, a father handing his son the foreign rights, created the entire Mars confectionery operation outside the United States. Every European Mars bar, Twix, Bounty, and Snickers traces back to that one arrangement. Toblerone? Stop. If you have ever eaten a Toblerone, you have been breaking it wrong. Most people grab a segment and pull outward. That takes force, often snaps the wrong section, and sometimes sends pieces across the room. The correct method is to push the tip of the segment inward toward the bar, not pull it away. The triangle is engineered to snap cleanly at the base when pressure is applied from the top down. Tobler designed it this way. Almost nobody knows because it was never prominently communicated. Toblerone has had that triangular shape since 1908 when Theodore Tobler first produced it in Bern, Switzerland. The name combines Tobler's surname with Terone, the Italian word for honey and almond nougat that fills each peak. There are two competing explanations for the triangular shape: the Matterhorn mountain in the Swiss Alps, or a pyramid formation of dancers Tobler had seen at the Folies Bergère cabaret in Paris. He never officially confirmed which one was true. Both stories are still in circulation. In 2016, Mondelez International reduced the weight of Toblerone's UK bars from 400 grams to 360 grams by widening the gaps between the peaks, keeping the packaging the same size. Consumers noticed immediately. The story ran as international news. The original spacing was restored in 2018 after sustained public pressure. You were paying the same price for less chocolate disguised by bigger gaps. For 2 years, the gaps were the lie. Reese's chocolate. H.B. Reese quit his job working at Milton Hershey's dairy farm in 1923 and started a candy company in his basement. He made several products. One outlasted everything: a sweetened peanut butter filling pressed into a small cup shape, coated in Hershey's chocolate. He used his former employer's chocolate because it was the best affordable option available to him. Have you ever noticed that Reese's peanut butter filling stays soft even when the cup is cold or frozen? That is not an accident. The filling is made with a high ratio of fat and sugar, both of which interfere with the freezing process by lowering the temperature at which water turns to ice. Even at freezer temperature, the center never fully solidifies. The chocolate shell hardens, the inside stays soft. That contrast, snap of cold chocolate, then immediate soft peanut butter, is engineered into the recipe. It does not happen by chance. H.B. Reese died in 1956. His estate sold the company to Hershey in 1963 for $23 million in Hershey stock. The product he built using his former employer's chocolate now belonged to that employer. And then Mars made a billion-dollar mistake. In 1982, the makers of E.T. the Extraterrestrial approached Mars about using M&Ms in the film, the scene where a trail of candy is used to lure the alien. Mars declined. Hershey said yes. Reese's Pieces appeared instead. In the weeks following the film's release, sales of Reese's Pieces increased by approximately 65%. E.T. became the highest-grossing film of that year. Mars turned down one of the most effective product placements in cinema history and handed it to the company built by the man who used to work for them, Bounty Chocolate. Mars introduced Bounty in 1951 in the UK and Canada. Sweetened coconut filling, milk chocolate coating. Early advertisements described it as the new chocolate thrill from the South Seas, positioning it as tropical and exotic at a time when most British people had never left the country. You cannot buy Bounty in the United States. Mars tried to sell it there in the 1980s. Hershey's Mounds and Almond Joy, both coconut and chocolate bars, already owned the market. Bounty was pulled in 1988 and never came back. If you are American and you want one, you need an international grocery store or an online order. In the UK, Bounty sits inside every celebrations tub, the mixed chocolate assortment sold at Christmas. A Mars survey in 2022 found that 40% of UK consumers disliked the Bounty. Mars ran a limited trial removing it from some tubs. A separate result in the same survey found that 18% of people named it their favorite bar in the box. It stayed. The most disliked bar in the UK's most popular Christmas chocolate selection. And it is not going anywhere. Team Paradise if you love it. Team Leftover if it is always the last one in the tub. Drop it in the comments. This is the debate that never ends.